Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are with Jon Barlow Hudson and the moquette, which is what's sitting behind Jon's left-hand shoulder. And he's pointing at it. Excellent. Now, I'll start this YouTube off with a very heartfelt good afternoon, good morning for me, and just reminding people that at the end of this particular YouTube, again, we'll be running this a series of photographs showing the paradigm under construction in America. Don't actually have the same type of photos as Morning Star, but some of the photos I like the best actually are the ones when it was completed, and you've taken an absolutely fantastic shot right from the very top, and people in Brisbane now can get on the Sky Needle, the Brisbane Eye, which is like a Ferris wheel, and get almost the same view from the top of it than what you would have got when you were standing doing the final polish. So do you just want to run us through the conceptualization of the paradigm as demonstrated by the model?
Actually, let me jump out of the picture here for a second. I didn't think of this before.
That's okay.
This is a little poster board maquette, like virtually the same that I started with originally.
Mm-hmm. You might want to put that down. It's flashing.
Yeah. When I made this, I also had tubes coming out of some of the holes.
Yeah.
In a spiral, creating a spiral.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And that's where the DNA reference comes from. So when I originally created it, it was only about, not much bigger than this one, about 12 or 16 inches. And it was the photograph of that John Truscott asked if I could build it 50 or 100 feet high. And I hadn't really thought of that to that point. So I was happy to say yes, of course.
You were obviously a person who thought big, had big visions.
Yeah. So I made this stainless steel maquette of just 4 sections of the 100-foot piece.
Mm.
I can't remember how many sections there are, something like 50 or I just can't remember. But I only need this much just to get a feeling for it.
Yep.
And to have to photograph and show and that sort of thing. I did make a poster board, a full-length poster board maquette, like 1 inch per foot. So I did have a 100-inch high poster board sculpture to get a feeling for what that meant and how to determine the sections.
Yeah.
It had to be built in sections. I think there were 13-foot sections. The last one, the topmost, is 18 feet. So it ended up there's 7 sections, each 13 feet high. And then you build the first section, and you lay it down and start the second section, and then make it, lay it down, start the third section, take it off, and build it. So it was a step-by-step leapfrog sort of construction process.
So it all fits together and it all has its internal strength.
Yeah, each piece is bolted to the next, and there's an internal structure, just like in a building. We never had the whole thing bolted together in the factory. We only did each one following the next.
Yeah.
So I was very pleased to see that they had installed it before I got there, and it was actually straight as an arrow. When I climbed up to the top and looked down and sighted down along the edges, it was all in alignment, just as straight as an arrow.
Well, hopefully when it goes back up again, it will be exactly the same.
It should, no reason for it not to be.
Let's hope so. So we'll just touch on it. Actually, you've just couriered to me all, and as an incredibly generous gesture, all the original documentation for Paradigm, of which part of that I'm taking off to an engineer for him to cast his eye over the paperwork, and then we're going to, and I'm hoping to have Bob Minikin actually on your behalf take it into the John Oxley Library. I don't know if you remember Bob Minikin. Did you meet him, the CEO? Familiar. Well, he was the CEO of Expo.
I probably wouldn't have. He would have been too busy.
Probably, yeah, I'd say so.
He would have been very busy.
He's extraordinary. I've spoken to him a few times. An incredibly nice gentleman. And tomorrow morning, I'm actually doing a YouTube with a relation of his, Steve Minikin. Anyway, we digress and getting away from the topic. Where did the concept of putting the lights inside come from? Because that's also another interesting part of the creative process.
I don't recall if I don't think I suggested it. I think it was actually John Truscott, because he was, a really creative theatrical artist, and he wanted lots of light, color, and art. So that's why you have so many sculptures and murals and that sort of thing. And the lighting was a big part of his design view for Expo. So any opportunity he could have, like the blue line under the monorail and that sort of thing, he looked for every opportunity, and he saw this, and I'm sure immediately told his lighting guys to figure out what best to put in there to take advantage of it. So they used airplane landing lights, 66 of them mounted inside the tubes.
Obviously, when electricity was a darn sight cheaper than what it is today.
Yeah, I was a quarter mile. I remember being a quarter mile away from the sculpture, and they turned on those lights full bore, and it was, I could feel them hot. They were so strong.
I bet you could. Funny enough, talking about the blue neon, one of the fellows that's given me a hand, he come across the actual plaque where Bob Minikin switched on the blue neon, and I made a small YouTube of picking it up and taking it into the John Oxley Library, where you've said that you'd like your paperwork to go, and so it's a small world. There you go. You mention it unexpectedly, and I can connect that up in my YouTube plugs. So, all right, well, John, thanks so much again. And I'll just remind people that it will immediately follow on with a whole series of quite interesting photos, and all these photos, both out of the Morningstar and out of the Paradigm YouTubes, they're actually to be found on our Facebook 25th anniversary Facebook page, and now over the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping that the total number of photographs will start to get very close to 2,000, because of the generosity of Bob Minikin, of Rick Birch, actually I should say, who's given me about 1,000 odd slides that I've some of the photos are just amazing. Just talking about creative input, he conceptualized it. He's given me the original drawings of the Pink Submarine, which was meant to be an opening night feature, and it was so popular that he continued to run it for a week or so, but then the sub started to spring leaks, so he sent it off to be repaired, and the people in the boatyard pulled it out of the water but put a sling on either end, not in the middle, and it bowed like a U. So that was the end of the Pink Submarine. Anyway, so end of another interesting YouTube. Again, John, thanks very much. I'll just hit the magic button and say thank you.